I'm going to do something a little bit different this morning. For those of you that are jumping on, whether it is live or during the replay, put in the comments where you're from, because that would be something interesting I would like to know is where everybody is tuning in and exactly what time zone you're in, because I feel like everybody's all across the board. We've got everybody over here on my side, which is in the East Coast, but then we've got you super early risers over on the West Coast jumping in. All right. Good morning, Mandy. Let me get back over here and we can get to jump right in. As you can see from today's title, we are going to be talking about how to crush your first quarter. Last week, we talked about having the best year ever. And these are kind of things that we can only really talk about at the beginning of the year because this is the fresh start of a new 12-month period. And so now that we've figured out that we want to crush the whole year, how are we going to do that? Well, we have to break it down into chunks. And so today we're going to talk about breaking it down into quarters. So these are some of the things that I want you to focus on, things that you can be intentional about, and some inspiration to help you have the best quarter. Because here's the thing, when you set the tone for your first quarter, it sets the tone for the remaining three quarters. So if you can get all of your momentum going right now, you can pick up speed through the remainder of the year and follow through all the way to the end. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to remember that everything is possible. Don't forget what is possible, because I think a lot of us discount the things that we're able to do or the things that could happen. But also don't limit yourself to what you think is possible, because the impossible can happen. Because in the Bible, you've got Luke 1:37 that says, with God, all things are possible. It doesn't say some things are possible or a couple things are possible. It says all things are possible, which means your dreams are possible. Did you take some time at the end of the year or the beginning of the year this year to, set out your dream board, your goals, your things that you want to accomplish this year? Remember, they are all possible if you are consistent and persist until you reach them. That may not mean that you will hit them all this year. I've got some things from my last year's goal that I had to move over to my 2024 goal. But those are the things that you need to look at. Do you have some stretch goals, some things that you may think are impossible, but when you're taking steps towards them, they become more and more possible? And maybe it's something that you accomplish in the first part of next year. But if you don't set out to accomplish them this year, you won't be anywhere near completing them. The theme for your 2024 and for this first quarter should be consistency. We talk about having habits and being disciplined. Well, what I want you to focus on for these next 3 months is 1 to 2 habits. 1 to 2 habits that you can do consistently and solidify in place that will impact your whole year. Maybe that's getting up earlier and having quiet time. Maybe that's physical fitness. Maybe that's eating correctly. Maybe that is something to do with quality time with friends and family. Figure out 1 or 2 things that you can do in this first quarter that will have a drastic impact on the remainder of your year. But the other thing that you need to do, and we talk about this all the time, I feel like I'm a broken record, and we could probably go back and look at past trainings, and you'll hear me say, write down your goals. When you know what those 2 habits are, write them down and put them on a sticky note and put them on your mirror, put them in places that you can see as a reminder of what you're trying to accomplish. Because when you physically write them down, whether it's on a piece of paper or whether it's on iPads, make sure that you are writing it down, because written goals are more likely to be completed than just goals that have been thought of and never put to paper. Another thing that you need to do during this first quarter is hustle in your free time so you can buy out the remainder of your time in the rest of the year. I know a lot of people, they want to go full time with their business. You joined to be an entrepreneur because maybe there was something at your full time job that you were unhappy with. So, what you need to learn to do is hustle in your free time to create the margin to possibly leave your full time job. You are trying to buy your freedom back from 9 to 5 corporate America, from 9 to 5 blue collar work, from 9 to 5 white collar work. You are joining and doing this business for freedom. So hustle in order to create that freedom for yourself in this first quarter. Some of the things that you should probably be doing is fast forward to the end of this quarter, because we want you to visualize what is happening. I want you to visualize where you're going to be at the end of this quarter and the things that you've accomplished. I want you to visualize the accomplishments that you've made. You set out these habits. How does it feel to know that you've established them and they are now just a part of your routine? You don't have to think about them, you just do them. Visualize yourself already taking the uncomfortable actions. Nothing that you want is downhill. Everything always seems to be uphill both ways in the snow, because that's the way it's intended to be. Nothing good is ever downhill. So now that you know that, visualize yourself at the end of this quarter and all of the things that you overcame. Guys, this is a great way to train your brain. Make up scenarios, because your brain makes up scenarios for you to avoid. So make those scenarios overcoming scenarios. Go out into the future and tell yourself how you overcame that obstacle. Those things that you're telling yourself why it couldn't happen, go into the future and tell yourself how you overcame them, that you overcame them. And that will give you additional energy to push through. And if you've already thought about it, imagined it, made it up, and conquered it in your mind, when it does eventually show up, you're already prepared to take it on head. You go right through it, not around it. You crush it because you already know what you planned to do. So another thing that I want you to do today is, in the comments below, post what are the 2 habits that you want to work on. Post in there the goal that you want to achieve by the end of this first quarter. So I want 2 habits and 1 goal that you want to have completed. And then I want you to make sure that you tag yourself so that when you are feeling like you can't do it, save the post so that you can come back, you can watch this and remember what you plan to do, and then scroll through to find your comment to see what your goal was, what your habits were, to help push you on to say, this was the moment, this was the day that I committed. On Tuesday, January 9th, I committed to creating these 2 habits in the first quarter and cementing this goal done in the first quarter. That way you have a starting point. Today is the starting point for those habits. And today is the starting point for you going for that goal in the next 3 months. Guys, I hope this helped. Make sure that you tag a friend, tag someone on your team that needs to hear this, partner up, get an accountability buddy in order to go through this so that you guys can keep each other accountable. Go out and make it an amazing day. I hope this quarter is as awesome as you are.